All right, so my name is Billy Silican. Most of you know who I am, or if you don't know who I am, it's very difficult for me to say who I am and what I do. But I basically inspire people in an organization to want to be the best that they can be. Then I give them tools to take that inspiration into actions and get results. Does it make sense? I run 3 companies. I run Global Conference Television, which is where we are today. It's a new business. It's an online digital learning channel. I run a consulting company called Intelligent Edge Consulting. And then I run myself as a brand, Billy Silican International. We operate in over 23 countries. We've been doing this for the past 18 years. Now, the vision for GCTV is, through the years that I've been working a lot overseas and in the corporate world. Now, I've picked up that a lot of people that need to access my content can't afford to see me. And those that have got access to me already have access to many other people like me. Does it make sense? So when I'm in Hong Kong, when I'm in London, when I'm in New York, when I'm in Europe, when I'm going to speak in a conference where there's 5 other speakers like me, who's going to say more or less what I'm saying, but packaged differently. But then I realized that if you look at Africa as a continent, we are very rich underground, but very poor over the ground. Does it make sense? If you look at the DRC only, if the DRC gets its act together and we get what is on the ground in DRC, none of us in the continent has to work. The DRC can make all of us super wealthy as individuals, not even as groups, as individuals. And it's not happening. And why? Because systematically our political system is kind of crazy. So the poverty in the continent is not an illness. Being poor is not an illness. Nobody wakes up and says, I'm sick, and what's the problem? I'm poor. I don't know. It doesn't happen that way. So poverty is a systematic thing that is created by government to make sure that they can hold people on the ground and can be able to control them. So my vision is to say, I'm not a politician. I can never become a politician because I'll not make it to tea time. They will poison me before tea time. So I stay away from politics. I'm in the developmental space. So my philosophy is, if we empower individuals, because I say to people, the way you do one thing is the way you do everything. Now, a lot of businesses don't fail because people are not smart or people don't work hard or they don't have the right plan. It's because the person behind the business has a challenge. Does it make sense? So if you can't run your life, what gives you the illusion that you can run a business? You understand what I'm trying to say? And if you become sort of successful in running a business while your life is a bit of a disaster, you're then going to become like a madman, You're going to use money for the wrong kind of reasons. You know what I'm trying to say? So my vision is we will inspire people in the continent and the Middle East. We'll give them life-changing content so that they can build wealth, not for excess. The word excess, not to build wealth to buy the next Lamborghini. There's nothing wrong in buying a Lamborghini. But when I help people to create wealth so that their wealth can become a conduit or a platform which they can give to other people to begin their own journeys. Does it make sense? Because if you become the only singular successful person in a sea of poverty, guess what happens? This sea of poverty is going to come and attack you. You understand? And it will swallow you. So our vision is to make sure that we give out content so that people become empowered, and when they become empowered, they build better businesses. Better businesses affect society, and we build a better continent. Because the continent is in your hands, ladies and gentlemen, and most of you are young here. If you don't get it right, we're going to go back to colonization, but in a different way. Because countries don't colonize people anymore. Brands colonize nations. Like most of you are colonized by brands. Nike, Puma, Louis Vuitton. Whether it's fake or real, it's another story. Because a lot of people run around with fake Louis Vuitton bags. It's fascinating, isn't it? And they pretend like, it's kind of crazy. So that's what we intend to do. So how are we going to reach our people who've built a super site? We're not going to build an app, and the app will operate with the super site. So you can either go directly onto the TV itself, online, or the app is going to help you to connect. And how we want to do it, we want to make sure that each and every person's journey is personalized. Because your journey and his journey and her journey are not the same. So we're not going to give you the same content. We want you to access the content that you want at the level that you are to move to the next level. Does it make sense? So this morning I'm going to share with you a generic understanding of business. And then I want to get into Q&As. But as I share with you, you can stop me and ask me any question. Does it make sense? I'm not the smartest man in the room, but I can answer questions quite intelligently. And if whatever question that you ask me that I don't have an answer, Derek has an answer. If Derek does not have an answer, my good friend there, Confidence, has an answer. If the 3 of us don't have an answer, we'll just walk out, pick up a phone call, and phone somebody much more smarter than us. That person will give us an answer and will come back and give you the answer. Does it make sense? Any questions? And I'm sure you guys have Googled me and did all these funny things to check me out, yes?
I didn't say yeah very loud.
Yeah, because you're the one that Googled me the most, yes? You went to Instagram, to Pinterest, to MySpace, to all the spaces, to Facebook, to Twitter. So social media is a very powerful tool, but social media can be dangerous. You either have a very powerful and positive digital footprint, or you have the worst digital footprint on planet Earth. And nowadays, when people do business with you, that's why they go and look at who you are, who you talk to, what you respond. And that in itself can become a make or a break for your business. Does it make sense? So I hope you're using this digital space very successfully. Now, we're going to start in the beginning. And the beginning for me, it's always the why. When I work with a lot of entrepreneurs or I coach people, and they come and say they've got this great business idea they want to make things, I always ask them why. Why do you want to do what you want to do? What's the reason behind? Because the why question answers this question of originality or authenticity. So if your concept or your idea is just a copy of somebody else's idea, then it means nothing, then nobody cares. Does it make sense? Why are you in the spa industry? Why you and why this business? Why are you in the skin industry? Why this business? Why are you in steel fabrication and why are you in construction? Does it make sense? If you cannot answer the question why, then you're just becoming an addition in a burden of the system. The system is already burdened by people that are starting bad businesses. So you're becoming an addition to that kind of bad trajectory of business. Does it make sense? And a lot of people who don't understand their why, they suffer from a very strange illness. This illness is called cognitive dissonance. Cognitive dissonance, cognitive means the mind, how it works. So cognitive dissonance, it means what you believe and what you do are contrary to each other. There's no connection to what you believe and what you do. Does it make sense? So a lot of people believe they will be, so you say this, you're in business and say, are you going to become, yes, I'm going to become successful. But when you look at their face tells you a different story. Because the eyes are the mirror to a soul's person. You understand? So when I talk to you and I look you straight in the eyes and ask you, do you think you're going to become successful? And when you tell me yes, and I look at your eyes, they tell me a different story. I know you're suffering from cognitive dissonance. Does it make sense? Because a lot of people say it with their mouth, but they don't believe it with their heart. And it doesn't happen. Why? Because if there is no congruency in what you think and what you do, you can never become successful. Does it make sense? And most of the time, this thing happens because people, how old are you, ma'am?
35.
35. So there's been a mathematical formula or an algorithm that has been operating in your brain for 35 years. The question becomes, was it a very positive inspired one or a negative inspired one? Let me share with you what it means. If you grew up in a society or in a house where when there was a conversation about money, it ended up being an argument. You understand? So you grow up with that thing in your mind, that money creates problems. Okay? And then you want to start a business. But you still have not dealt with that background in your brain about money. And you're surprised, you've got all the right connections, you've got the right product, you're making things happen, but you're not making the money. Does it make sense? It's because that formula in your mind that has been programmed for the many years that you've been alive has to be dealt with. So the why for me helps us to deal with cognitive dissonance, because if we don't go to the foundation of our lives, it becomes difficult for us to build anything. Does it make sense? I'm sure all of you have had this person or you know this person who socially has a very powerful social connection. He knows Keza Mutau, he knows this person, he goes to that person's party, but they're not successful. Do you know such a person? Have you never asked yourself why? Well, success should be independently or individually defined. So I cannot impose what is success for me to what is success to you. You get what I'm trying to say? But then there are certain standards and norms in society, which when we look at you, and unfortunately, I'm a speaker and a coach and a trainer and a facilitator, and this industry is almost like Christianity. Everybody's a speaker and a coach and a life coach. Black people, everybody's a pastor, an apostle, and yeah, I'm trying to say, I'm thinking, oh my God, who prays for who if every one of us becomes a pastor and whatever. So the same thing in speaking, so the same thing in business, everybody's an entrepreneur. But you can never become a true entrepreneur until you can show us the fruits of your journey. It's about the fruits. Does that make sense? It's why the biblical say, by their fruits will know them. So, you know, being an entrepreneur doesn't mean you wear those lovely socks. What do you guys call them? Happy socks. you wear happy socks, you know, you've got a Facebook page, you hang around a coffee shop and say, I'm an entrepreneur, you know, I'm a disruptor. So what have you disrupted? You know, show us. People have got all of these things, but they've not disrupted anything. So a lot of people have this illusionary thing about business. Business is very simple, guys, but it's not easy. It is simple, but it's not easy. All right. Now, for me, every entrepreneur has to question themselves at this level to say, do I really believe that what I do it for a good reason? Do I believe that what I do will really give me the results that I want? Because if you don't believe, it's never happening. Does it make sense? That's why the rate of failure for businesses is so high. I'm saying businesses don't fail, people fail businesses. You understand what I'm trying to say? Because until you sort yourself out, there's no way that you can run a very successful business. You know, if you look at Mark Zuckerberg, all these guys that are very powerful, they had to sort themselves out to run great business. And those that don't sort themselves out, it catches them and their businesses fall apart. I mean, the saddest part is about Uber, the CEO of Uber. You know, they got him out because he's a crazy kind of guy. He's a smart guy who started a great business, but he's crazy, and they had to get rid of him. Now, I'm going to share with you a very simple process that is going to help you understand business intimately. And this process, we call it the Z factor. Now, the Z factor says that there are 4 fundamentals in any business. No matter what your business is about, it's either the people's business, the steel business, the cosmetic business, there are 4 fundamentals that you have to get right from the beginning, otherwise you're going to fail. Now in Africa, we've got the 5th fundamental, which I'm going to put here, and we'll talk about that later. Okay, so the first one is every business is started by a person and it needs people. Every business is started by a person and it needs people. Okay? So that's the first one. The second one is processes. So every business is started by a person, it needs people, and for the business to become successful, there has to be a process or processes that are used and managed to make that business successful. And the third thing is no business survives without clients. Yeah? And the last one is you have to become profitable. Otherwise, it's not a business. And the saddest thing about a lot of people is they quit their job with an illusion that they're going to become entrepreneurs. They don't become what they wanted to become, they become self-employed. And when they become self-employed, they work 18 hours a day, they've got no leave, they can't go on holiday because they are not disciplined, because the business is not structured. Their life become worse off than they were when they were working for somebody else. Does it make sense? And here's another truth. Not all of us will become entrepreneurs. It's just a fact of life. Because if we all become entrepreneurs, who's going to be my accountant? Who's going to be my HR manager? Who's going to be my sales manager? Who's going to be my digital manager? You understand? Not all of us are supposed to be businessmen, but businesswomen, but all of us have to be exceptionally good at that thing that we've chosen to become or to do. Does it make sense? I know quite a lot of my friends who are multimillionaires, but they're working in the corporate space because they're directors, they've got share options, they were very smart, they created, some lovely investment in their property and all kind of things, and they made money. So this is what globally is accepted as the Z factor. We're gonna go deeper into all of this. And in Africa, for me, what's important, and now this is a very big question all over the world, is social impact. Ultimately, your business has to impact the society where it operates. That's why the CSI. That's why there's all kind of things. Now, a lot of people nowadays, your brand or the brand that you're building, you cannot tell people anymore what it is. People tell you what your brand is. Does it make sense? People Twitter now and say it's a terrible brand and everybody knows about it. Or somebody says, wow, this is an amazing brand, and everybody knows about it immediately. And the second question that people are always asking, now moving to a space where we are looking at how our environment has been messed up by our ages of growth as human beings. And so people are saying, is your business environmental friendly? That question has been asked. The guys in the steel industry, the guys in construction, they're asking, you, madam, do you use animals to test your products and all those kind of things? So people are going to, when they look at a product, they're going to look at the history of the product. Where does it come from? Where is it made? Is it eco-friendly? What is your footprint in the green space? And if they realize that to manufacture your product costs us the environment, people don't buy it. Because people are becoming much more conscious of what products they use and from where those products come from. I mean, one of the things that has been a problem, I don't know if you guys remember, at some point in time they said Nike was made by young children in China or in Indonesia and those kind of things. You know, child labor and those. So people now question the originality of your product. Okay.